Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a video that I haven't done in a while, and it is a wrap-up video. So I don't really know what happened, but I haven't done a wrap-up video since like November. And December's books are just gonna kind of be a wash. I only read a couple of books, but I haven't done a wrap-up since November's books. Like in December I did a November wrap-up, and that's really out of character for me because I love wrap-ups. I love making wrap-ups. I love watching wrap-ups. I really like wrap-ups because for me, like, TBRs don't tell me much about the book. It tells me why you want to read the book or why you're planning on reading a book, but I feel like a lot of times I see like hauls or TBRs, but then I never actually learn what people's thoughts are on the books, and that's the part that I love. I want to hear people's thoughts on books. And so that's why I've always done wrap-ups, and I really enjoy watching other people's wrap-ups. So I'm really sad that I haven't been able to do them the past couple months, and I don't really know what happened. I kept planning on it, and then I was like, well, I'll do January and February. And then I was like, well, I'll do a quarterly wrap up and do the first quarter of the year. And then I was like, I don't really know what happened. So we are wrapping up all the books that I have read so far in 2025 from January 1st through today, which is May 30th. And hopefully after this, we will be caught up and I will start doing just my regular monthly wrap-ups again. And if you didn't see my most recent vlog reading romance books, I made a at-home pink drink in that vlog, and that's also what I have today. So I have my little at-home pink drink, and it kind of matches my outfit, my little summery vibe I have going on today. Unfortunately, the weather is gloomy and rainy, so we're just going to try and knock this out, and I will be tier ranking all of these books. So I have my little tier maker here, and I'm gonna screen record and show you, and we're just gonna kind of go through them together, more rapid fire. Obviously, I'm not going to talk in depth about every single book because there are 30 of them. Okay, so I'm screen recording, and let's go over the categories that I have here. So up at the top, we have Perfection. These are my 5-star books. These are the ones that I think are great. I have no notes. Even if there are things that I could change about the book, I wouldn't, because they just were top tier, and I absolutely will recommend them. And I'm thinking about doing a separate video talking about just 5-star reads. So let me know if you'd like that to get more thoughts. And then my next category here is definitely will recommend. So these are books that were like 4 stars. Definitely going to recommend them. Definitely see a lot of merit and reason to read them, and definitely ones that I enjoyed, just not that perfection, that 5-star read feeling. And then the orangey kind of orangey yellow, like banana color, is probably will recommend. And these are like 3 stars. Ones that I will probably recommend to specific people, or maybe if it were in a video, like maybe a romance recommendations video or a historical fiction recommendations video, or something kind of more specific, like certain time period or a certain trope. But probably not ones that I will ever reread, probably not books that I'll keep on my shelf, and probably ones that are also forgettable. And then the next tier we have is probably will not recommend. And these are ones that, like, 2 stars, I didn't really enjoy. I probably won't ever think about again, or there was just too many issues with them that I just couldn't see myself recommending them. Not that they're bad books, just not ones that I will probably talk about too much on my channel. And then the last one we have there is absolutely not. These are books that I think are probably trash books, probably will talk a little bit of crap about them in my worst books of the year. And just ones that I'm not going to spend too much time on because they either made me mad, or maybe they had things in them that I thought was maybe not great representation or not a great way to go about certain things. I don't think there's too many of those in this grouping, but these are in no particular order. I will let you know when I read them if I remember, but some of these I don't remember when I read them. But we're just going to start off with what we have here, Primetime Romance by Kate Robb. And I read this in my most recent romance releases vlog. And I did like this one, but it wasn't like fantastic. But I did enjoy it because it is kind of like that movie Pleasantville. These 2 people get sucked into their favorite TV show, and they have to figure out how to get back. And of course, a romance ensues, things like that. So definitely cute, but not a favorite. But I am going to put it in probably will recommend, because it definitely was an interesting trope and an interesting take on a romance, like a rom-com. Next, we have The Business Trip, and this book I actually got as an ARC. I got it from the publisher before it even came out with a little press package, and I was so excited to receive that and get a finished copy, and I'm so happy to say that I gave this book 4 stars. It was really good. It is a kind of airplane thriller, but I wouldn't call it that. 2 people meet on a plane, and then the next thing you know, they're both missing and you're trying to figure out what happened to them. And there's a lot of text messages, phone calls, emails. There's a bunch of different points of view, and it kind of follows this one weekend of time, and you're kind of going back and seeing how the weekend happened from different people's perspectives. And I think it's set in the South, maybe Atlanta area. And so I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really fun, really interesting. I enjoyed the twist. There was a couple things that I didn't see coming. And so I'm really happy about that. And I'm really happy that this book has found a good audience, and I've been seeing it in a lot of bookstores. So it makes me really happy for the author, Jessie Garcia. So yeah, that one I definitely will be recommending. And I think it's a good fast-paced thriller. Next, I have Emily Henry's Big Beautiful Life. This was another one that I read recently in my romance vlog. And I'm gonna give this one a probably will recommend. I gave it a 3-star. I think people have been comparing it to that book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The one about the rich lady. I can't think of the name. If I can think of it, I'll put it on the screen. But I just didn't really care about the romance. The romance was kind of cringy. There was a kind of subplot where they are writing the autobiography of an older rich woman who was married to a singer, and I cared more about that and her historical story talking about her past. I cared more about that timeline than the current timeline. So it was just fine. 3-star read. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if it was written more as general fiction than romance. And then we have let's start with Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables, this is the version that has Rachel McAdams as the narrator, so it is free on Audible. So that version is on Audible, and it does have Rachel McAdams. And I had read Anne of Green Gables probably twice when I was in school, and I really enjoyed it. But hearing Rachel McAdams narrate Anne of Green Gables on Audible was just a different experience for me. And I have been slowly reading through the Anne of Green Gables series for my friend Gwen's Patreon for the podcast Talk Bookish to Me. All of her patrons, the Night Owls, we are all kind of reading through this together. So I really love Anne of Green Gables. I gave it 4 stars, and I think that if you're going to read Anne of Green Gables, you should listen to this version that has Rachel McAdams. It just perfectly embodies what I expect Anne's voice to sound like. And then I also listened to Anne of Avonlea. And I'm going to put Anne of Avonlea in probably will not recommend, because after Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea was just kind of a little bit of a letdown. It is Anne becoming a teacher for the first time, but there wasn't nearly as much of a character arc as there was in Anne of Green Gables. And so yeah, just not really my favorite. And the little kids in the book aren't really my favorite either. So definitely not one that I will say that everybody needs to read. Next, I have The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden, and I'm going to put this one in probably will recommend. This one was good. It's a IVF thriller. Well, I guess not IVF, surrogacy and adoption, things like that. These people are not able to conceive on their own. They have a failed adoption, and so they end up convincing the man's secretary, I think, to be their surrogate, and then things start getting creepy from there. I like Frida McFadden, and I like her books, and I like her thrillers, but I don't remember much else about this book. I don't remember the twists. I don't remember the ending. So probably will recommend, because I do remember enjoying my experience reading it, but I am already losing details. And I think I only read it in March. I think I read it for the Backlist Readathon. Then we have The Wife Upstairs by Frida McFadden. This one's a definitely will recommend. If you liked Verity, you will like this. It has a lot of similar concepts and similar vibes. A woman goes to become the caretaker for a man's wife who she is bedridden. She had an accident, she fell, and weird things start happening from there, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I really liked it. Was it anything earth-shattering or different or something that's never been done before? No. People do say that Frida McFadden copies a lot of other authors and other books, but I mean, don't everybody? Don't we all? Is gonna go in absolutely not. The no-show I read in February for the X's and O's readathon. It was our buddy read and we discussed it. Definitely go back and watch that discussion if you're interested in all of our thoughts, me and the Fab Five, but this book was kind of trash. It was not at all what it was advertised to be. I felt like the cover was misleading. I felt like the plot was misleading, and there was a lot of twists that were just cop-outs. And everything about this book leads you to believe it's going to be like a John Tucker Must Die, 3 women are stood up and then they try to get their revenge. That is absolutely not what it was. And it had a twist in there that once you realize it, you're either going to love or hate this book. I personally hated it. I think I gave it 1 or 2 stars, but yeah, absolutely not. That one is just not for me. Next we have With My Little Eye by Jocelyn Jackson. This one is going to go in probably will not recommend. This one I think I read for Backlist Readathon for the prompt of been on my TBR the longest, and this was the book that had been saved on my Scribd the longest, so that's why I read it, and I couldn't tell you much about it. I know it's about a woman who's a single mom and her daughter has autism, and it had good representation, and I definitely thought that she brought out a lot of things that people may not really know or realize or understand about the parent of someone with autism. And so I really appreciated that as somebody who works with people with autism and other intellectual disabilities. And other than that, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I know there was a little bit of a love triangle, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I probably won't ever talk about this book again or even think about it again, really. All right, next we have Anne of the Island, and Anne of the Island I actually probably would recommend, and I'm gonna put it up here in probably will. This one is more of Anne becoming an adult. She goes to college, she's living in a house with 2 elderly ladies and their kind of ladies' maid, and their relationship is interesting and funny, and there's some blooming romance. So it definitely, I felt like Anne of Avonlea was kind of like in this stunted new adult age, and now Anne of the Island, she's like really coming into her own. So that one I probably would recommend. I would say, I mean, I don't want to say skip Anne of Avonlea because there is some important things that you need to know going into Anne of the Island, but I definitely liked Anne of the Island better. All right, next I have Kelly Bishop's The Third Gilmore Girl. I hate to say it, but I'm putting this one in probably will not recommend. I was so excited for this one. This was one of my most anticipated reads. I love Kelly Bishop. I love Gilmore Girls. I loved Dirty Dancing. I know that she was a professional dancer, and she also was on a show Bunheads with, I can't think of her name, but it was only on for like 2 seasons, and I was excited to hear about her being on Broadway, her being a professional dancer, all of that. And I feel like if you don't already know much about theater and Broadway and acting, that you won't really connect to this as much. I felt like it took 2/3 of the book in order to get to Gilmore Girls, which I think is what most people probably wanted. And then there was a lot of stuff that I just frankly didn't care about. And I didn't care about all of the politics of theater and Broadway at that current point in time. And I just didn't really care about a lot of it. And then I felt like there was some people that she didn't paint in a very good light. And so I don't know, I hate saying I won't recommend it because it's her life, it's her story, but it just was really not what I was expecting, and I couldn't wait for it to be over. I almost DNF'd it, but I wanted to, there were some things at the end that I wanted to get to, but that one was a huge disappointment to me. Next we have The Last Room on the Left, and I think that I definitely will recommend this book. This was a kind of locked door mystery. Woman goes to be the caretaker of an inn in, I think it's like the Catskills of New York, and things start getting weird. The caretaker that was there before her has now gone missing, and I liked this. I liked the very closed off small town in the winter vibes. I didn't mind that this was kind of an unreliable narrator. Was it anything earth-shattering that I had never read before? No, but I felt like for what it was as a wintry thriller, it was a good one. Next, we have a 5-star read, and that was The Husband's Widow's Secret Lie. And that one's going up here in perfection. So this one was my first 5-star read of the year, and I read it during the Backlist Readathon in March when I co-hosted that with my friend Jackie. And This one was just fun. It's a novella, it's a short story, and it's a satire. So it's Frida McFadden basically making fun of thrillers, poking fun at it in a, a pretty funny, interesting way, not in a way that's like rude or offensive or making fun, just kind of like poking, kind of tongue in cheek at some of the things. And even at herself, which I love that she can poke fun at herself. At one point, somebody's like, hey, have you read this book, The Housemaid? And the girl's like, no. And they're like, come on, Frida McFadden, have you ever heard of the author? And she was like, no, never heard of her. So just very funny, very tongue-in-cheek, a little bit glib. Like, it was good. And basically, all you need to know about this is that a woman's husband has died. And she has to identify him at the morgue. And it just goes from there. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because anything else would be spoilery. But it was just so funny and so ridiculous. But it's supposed to be ridiculous, and that just made it a fun, wild ride. And yeah, just, I don't know what else to say about it other than just, it's cute, it's funny, it's not going to take up too much of your time, and it's going to leave you just rolling laughing. Next, we have The Fall Risk. This one's going to go in probably will not recommend, which makes me sad because Abby Jimenez is one of my favorite authors. But The Fall Risk was this short story that she wrote. It was on Kindle Unlimited. Something about stairs being removed and they're stuck in their apartments. And there's this subplot about a stalker. It was just, I didn't care. It was too much into a short story, and the stakes weren't high enough for me to care. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the romance. And yeah, I don't know. I gave it 3 stars, but it's definitely my least favorite of anything I've read by Abby Jimenez, which is a shame. Next, by Abby Jimenez, we have Sailor Remember Me, which I also read just this month recently for my vlog, reading romance books. And I'm giving it 5 stars. I mean, I already did. I gave it 5 stars. So good. It's about people that have a date and then they realize that their lives are going completely different directions, and they decide to have a long distance relationship because that date was so good. And it's just about their lives. They both have a lot of really hard things going on. They both have family issues that they're trying to deal with. And it's so good. And it's so close to home for me right now and things going on in my life that I sobbed. And people keep asking me if I enjoyed it. I don't know if enjoyed was the right word. I mean, I'm giving it 5 stars, and it's definitely one of my new favorites of all time. But it was hard. It was hard. I cried a lot of the time, but it definitely was cathartic for me. Okay, The Coworker by Frida McFadden. This one I definitely will recommend. I really liked The Coworker a lot more than I thought I would. Basically, a woman has this coworker that is kind of weird, keeps to herself, and then just doesn't show up one day. And nobody else really seems worried about it except for her, but she knows like this is not normal for this girl. And that's all you need to know. It goes from there. I really liked it. It was a fun ride. It was something that I didn't expect, and it was something that I didn't see coming. So definitely a good one. I've been loving the Frida McFadden books, and I've really been in my Frida era lately, which is kind of fun to me. My Phony Valentine, probably will not recommend. I read this in February did I read it for X's and O's? I don't remember. But it was just kind of weird. Courtney Walsh, I don't know. It was a closed door romance, I guess you would call it. But because of that, I guess I didn't really believe it. I didn't feel any chemistry with them, and I don't really like anything with celebrities in it typically. So basically it's this hockey player that has this meet cute, and they have to pretend to be in a relationship. And then they decide to continue it so that she can help her, I think, bakery or something. I don't know. I don't even really remember it. It just wasn't for me. So I don't know that I would try another Courtney Walsh. I DNF'd the Christmas road trip or whatever it was called. The Frozen River. This was a reread. I did read this last year and I love it. I gave it 5 stars last year when I read it, and I gave it 5 stars this year when I read it. I just love it so much. Martha Ballard. It is about her life, loosely based on her life. She was a real person and she had a diary, and it's just so good. It's a lot. There's definitely check trigger warnings, but don't let the fact that it's in the 1700s scare you. I think it was really well done. I think it's hard hitting. I loved the relationships in this. I loved the character arc. It's very much like Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, and I love that. So yeah, that's a good one. Definitely, if you haven't picked it up, just give it a try. Kristen Hanna, Firefly Lane, will not recommend. I didn't really care. Basically, it was just about two two women, two girls, and their friendship and their lives, and I didn't like the choices that they made, and there wasn't enough of the 70s vibes for me to attach to it as historical fiction, and there wasn't enough substance for me to enjoy it as general fiction. So unfortunately that one was a bust for me. And then Dopamine Nation, probably will not recommend. This one I thought was going to be about like the age of indulgence and social media and stuff like that. A lot of it ended up being about addiction and substance abuse, which is just not what I thought it was going to be. It was good, but I feel like there's other nonfiction books that I enjoy more and that I would recommend more. All right, next we have the Bridgerton series, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. Probably will not recommend. I think I read this for my online book club. I was doing a challenge and it met a prompt. I don't know. I read it fast to get through it, but I like the show Bridgerton. I liked the first 2 seasons. The 3rd season I did not like, so I probably won't continue. And there was definitely a lot of changes, and it definitely delves into other people's lives more so than the show does. But I don't feel the need to continue in the series. I don't feel the need to read another Bridgerton, and I probably won't be screaming from the mountaintops about it. Housemaid's Secret, I probably will recommend. This is the 2nd installment in the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. It was good. Was it earth-shattering? Did it blow me away? No. I think I gave it three stars. Mary Kubica, Just the Nicest Couple, probably will not recommend. I don't remember why I read this, but I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. I couldn't tell you. I'm looking at it and nope, nothing's coming to mind. So, The Hike, probably will not recommend. I think I gave it 4 stars no, I gave it 3 stars. This I read for my in-person book club. It was our pick in January, and it's about these girls who go on a girls trip every year. They decide to go on a hike, like a multiple day long hike in, I think, Switzerland, and things go from there. I didn't care. I thought it was just kind of ridiculous, some of the relationships. I felt like the author kind of glorified some of the mistakes and infidelities that were made and made it seem like it was okay. And yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting discussion, and I'm glad that I read it because it was like, I have good memories of that first discussion with that new book club, but yeah, just wasn't really for me. Frida McFadden, The Crash. I definitely will recommend this one. I really liked this one. I think I read it for my friend Jessie's Patreon, and I feel like people are either going to love this one or hate it. It's similar to another thriller. I'm not going to say which one because that's a huge spoiler, but I really liked it. This woman, she's kind of down on her luck. She's pregnant, and she crashes crashes her car into the woods, and this guy takes her to his house, and his wife used to be a nurse, and she's taking care of her. And it goes from there, and she starts realizing that maybe this woman is not having her best intentions at the front of her mind, and it was just really good. I liked it. It was typical Frida McFadden. There was things that I didn't see coming, and it was a fun time. It was a quick read. I gave it 4 stars. I recommend that one. The Last Housewife, I actually just finished yesterday as a reread. So this was our May book club pick for my in-person book club, and the discussion was last night. It was good. I think I'm the only person, well, I think me and one other person were the only ones who loved it. Everyone else was just kind of like, it was too much for me, or I didn't like it, or it was too traumatizing, which it is. It is about a lot of adult things, so definitely check trigger warnings, but basically it's about a podcaster. A girl goes missing, and so he contacts her childhood friend, who is also his friend, and says, let's try and figure out what happened to her. And it just gets darker and darker and darker. And it's definitely about a cult where they do adult things, and it's really good. And Ashley Winstead's writing is really good, and it doesn't get grotesque. So I wouldn't say go into it being like afraid that it's going to gross you out, but it's really good. I thought it was really good, and I loved it when I first read it, and I love it this time, so still a 4-star read. Frida McFadden, The Tenant. I had to look back at my Goodreads because I don't even remember reading this. I know I read it, and I remember a couple of things about it, but it was forgettable, so I probably will recommend it, especially, like, I love books about New York, so if it's like a New York thriller video, I would recommend it, but it was just kind of forgettable. I feel like it's kind of similar to The Boyfriend, but if I had to pick between The Boyfriend and The Tenant, I would definitely pick The Boyfriend. So yeah, just another one that I'm like, I don't even remember it, and I just read it recently. The Sublet, I probably will not recommend this one. The Sublet is by Greer Hendricks, and it's a short story. It was a Audible original, very short. Not really anything special. All right, Tell Me What You Did, Carter Wilson. I think I probably will recommend this. Yeah, probably will recommend it. It's also about a podcast, and a woman basically has a podcast where people come on and they anonymously are able to tell people what they did, like, you know, admit something. And they talk about it, and then she has somebody who like basically hijacks it and wants her to talk about her crime and what she did. It goes from there. I liked it. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people love it and some people really did not like it. I am very much in the middle about it. I gave it 3 stars. But if I was doing like a video on recommending podcast element books, I would put it on there because I do think it's worth a try. And then the last book we have is Ellen Marie Wiseman, The Lies They Told. And this one is going in perfection. You guys know I love Ellen Marie Wiseman. Is this one better than The Lost Girls of Willowbrook? No. But was it very good? Yes. It's about a woman who comes over to this country from Europe, and she's an immigrant, and she comes to the holler of Virginia. And she actually came to Appalachian, Virginia, which is close to where I live. And the place that she supposedly was in, it's not a real town, but it's in a real area of Virginia, is about an hour from me, which is pretty cool. And I love Ellen Marie Wiseman. I love her books. I love her historical fiction. I love that everything is raw and feels very real. And it was just really good. This woman ends up in, like I said, Appalachian, Virginia, kind of learning how to be an American and how to take care of these kids that were raised in this Appalachian culture. And there is a lot about eugenics, and so it was definitely a good take on the eugenics movement in the US. So if you liked Take My Hand or the one about Necessary Lies by Diane Chamberlain, if you liked either of those, you will really like this one. So yeah, if you at all like historical fiction, definitely give it a chance. It has not come out yet. It comes out in July. I'll put the date on the screen of when it comes out. But I got an ARC. I reached out to the publisher and I said, hey, I loved The Lost Girls of Willowbrook. Will you please send me a copy of her new one? So they did, and I'm so happy about it. And I'm so happy to love it and be able to tell people about it and give it like a nice warm welcome on its publishing day. And yeah, I'm glad that was the last one because that's a good one. And that was my 5-star read of this month. So that is all of the books that I have read in 2025. So I think there's 30 here. I only have one in the absolutely not category. The probably will not recommend is definitely the largest. But overall, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15, 16, 17. So like around 20 books that I will recommend and do think are good. So I would say anything from like here up. Perfection definitely will recommend and probably will recommend. Any of those, I think you could pick them up and have a good time. All right, now that I'm caught up, I will definitely be doing this every month. I will go back to my regular wrap-ups. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.